Pulp Fiction is regarded by many viewers and critics as the epitome of a great film, filled with vivid characters and an unconventional story. Its humor is so subtle that it's often unclear why certain events come off as so comical. Dozens of YouTube videos are dedicated to Tarantino's dialogue, with many attempting to decipher his formula for success. Why does an ordinary conversation among three characters captivate us so deeply? And how does he construct such masterful, nonlinear narratives? However, this video will focus on something entirely different, on what slips past the inattentive viewer, namely, Vincent Vega, the worst hitman in the history of cinema. Vincent Vega is a contract killer, a master of the twist, an aficionado of pulp crime novels, a promising abstract painter, a recreational drug enthusiast, and simply a stylish man. At first glance, he seems like the ultimate cool hitman, brutal and charismatic. But if you look closer, his professionalism is downright laughable. Don't get me wrong, Vincent is a very, very cool dude. But as a hitman, he's simply appalling, utterly useless. He's terrible at his job. So let's break it down. All we know is that he spent 3 years in Amsterdam. Upon returning and taking on his very first assignment, he immediately starts messing up. From the conversation by the open trunk, we learn Vincent was in charge of weaponry and completely dropped the ball.
We should have shotguns with this kind of deal.
He couldn't even be bothered to learn the mission's details. Furthermore, during this dialogue, Tarantino highlights another small moment. Jules carefully puts his pistol on safety, while Vincent simply loads his and shoves it into his pants. While Jules is chatting with the guys, Vincent doesn't bother to check the bathroom where a guy with a revolver is hiding. The first thing you should do when planning a shootout in an apartment. Instead, Vincent casually smokes in the kitchen. Jules was right. It's a miracle he survived a job with such an incompetent partner. Then, Vincent accidentally shoots Marvin in the face. Any responsible gun owner would have avoided this, but not Vincent. He doesn't have the habit of using the safety. Worse, he keeps his finger on the trigger. Later, he disrespects Mr. Wolf, the only person capable of cleaning up his mess quickly and neatly. 3 massive failures on his very first job. His second assignment is to chaperone Mrs. Wallace. Vincent has a substance abuse problem, indulges heavily, and working for his boss while under the influence is hardly a desirable trait for a contract killer. After taking a dose that blows the roof off his head, he goes to pick up Marcellus's wife. At the venue, he excuses himself to the bathroom, and in the meantime, Mia overdoses on his heroin. Another colossal screw-up, entirely on Vincent. For his third job, he's supposed to arm himself and ambush an unarmed boxer. Leaving the Uzi on the table, he heads to the bathroom. The result? The ambush on Butch turns into an ambush on himself. Vincent was given only 3 tasks, and he managed to botch every single one. He's simply terrible at his work. In the end, it's this incompetence that costs him his life. This raises the question, why would a powerful gangster like Marcellus Wallace hire him? Why trust him enough to pair him with one of the baddest gangsters, Jules Winfield? The irony is that Marcellus doesn't trust him at all. He knows full well that Vincent is a bumbling fool who shouldn't be trusted with a gun. Marcellus hired him for one reason. Vincent is simply a fun guy to hang out with. If you think about the nature of the assignments he was given, it becomes clear that on all 3, his only real job was to entertain his companion. Nothing was required of him except conversation. Mission 1. Go with Jules to retrieve a briefcase the guys had, let's say, borrowed. Jules does all the work. Vincent's role is just to keep him company, shoot the breeze.
You know what they call a quarter pounder with cheese in Paris?
And what do they call it?
They call it a Royale with cheese.
Royale with cheese.
That's right.
Mission 2. Take Marcellus's wife out to dinner while he's out of town. Literally, drive her to dinner, entertain her, chat, dance, then drive her home. Mission 3. Keep Marcellus company during the stakeout for Butch, even though Marcellus didn't seriously believe Butch would return to his apartment. The man's not an idiot. 3 simple tasks where Vincent was needed only for company. No real responsibility was placed on him, precisely because they knew what kind of a killer he was. How do we know Vincent was with Marcellus on the 3rd job? It's quite simple. Even though Butch encounters only Vincent in the apartment, there were originally 2 people there, Marcellus and Vincent. They didn't believe Butch would return, so Marcellus went to get donuts, leaving Vincent to watch the place alone. 2 facts support this. First, Butch hits Marcellus with his car near his house. Second, at that moment, Marcellus is holding a box of donuts and 2 cups of coffee, one for himself and one for Vincent. And as we see, left alone, Vincent goes to the bathroom, which leads to his demise. He should have either held it until Marcellus returned or left the bathroom door open to hear Butch enter. He should have also hidden the Uzi, but he missed everything and paid the price. 3 elementary tasks any random guy off the street could have handled, but Vincent wasn't hired for his combat skills. He's brought along for fun because he's the life of the party. But that's far from all. As we know, one of Vincent Vega's worst qualities as a hitman is his drug addiction. The film constantly explores the negative consequences of drugs. After 3 years in Amsterdam, Vincent developed a heroin habit, a motif that resonates throughout the entire film. It all starts at Lance's house. The conversation reveals that Vincent has never had to buy cocaine, only heroin. He isn't even aware that coke is going out of style. One way or another, the entire series of mistakes and most of the problems in the film stem from drugs. Lance says, "The balloons are gone, the baggie will have to do." For ordinary people, there's no difference between balloons and baggies, but for the discerning film buff, there is. Vincent wasn't clued in on all the nuances of drug packaging because he got hooked in Amsterdam. But Mia knew perfectly well that heroin is usually stored in balloons. Cocaine is wrapped in plastic film, so, mistaking heroin for coke, she suffers a severe overdose and nearly dies. This wouldn't have happened if Vincent had taken the drugs out of his coat pocket before handing it to Mia. And it wouldn't have happened if he hadn't gone to the bathroom, because his actual job, assigned by Marcellus, was to watch over her. Vincent's constant trips to the bathroom are linked to heroin-induced constipation. He even developed a habit of reading on the toilet, which is why he's inseparable from his book. If you pay attention, you'll notice that every time Vincent, or anyone else, goes to the bathroom, something crazy happens. The diner robbery happens while Vincent is in the bathroom. Mia snorts heroin while Vincent is in the bathroom. An armed guy bursts out of the bathroom. Vincent insults Butch while Jules is in the bathroom. And finally, Vincent is shot dead upon exiting the bathroom. Even Butch's watch has a direct connection to the toilet. During the Vietnam War, 2 men hid it up their asses for 7 years. However funny it may sound, the toilet theme holds a special place in the story, right alongside psychoactive substances. The pinnacle of Vincent's incompetence is undoubtedly the incident in Butch's apartment, but what led to it is far more important. The cherry on top of Vincent's ineptitude is the fact that the film's entire plot spirals into chaos precisely because of him. Even the whole Butch ordeal begins due to his fault. As we know, Butch was supposed to throw a boxing match under an agreement, earning a hefty sum for himself and a substantial betting payout for Marcellus. Marcellus Wallace allows himself a few disrespectful remarks, but they don't quite push Butch over the edge. Then Vincent Vega barges into the establishment and immediately starts insulting Butch. Vincent calls Butch a palooka, a term for a boxer who's lost his edge, popularized by a 1920s comic strip about a boxer named Joe Palooka. Then he adds, "You hear me? You hillbilly boxer?" That is the final straw for Butch. Just look at the hatred and frustration in his eyes as he watches Vincent leave. That's the breaking point. Remember Vincent telling Lance that some asshole just keyed his car? That's right. Butch scratched Vincent's car with his keys. He then bet all the money he got from Marcellus on his own victory and beat his opponent to death in the ring. All out of spite for Vincent and his boss. Thus, Butch screws Marcellus out of his money. Later, Marcellus is raped by 2 gentlemen with sadomasochistic proclivities. And after that, Butch kills our lucky hero. That's the intricately twisted plot where a single insult leads to death. So, Why is the film called Pulp Fiction? Tarantino gives us the answer in the very first seconds. The opening title card provides the two dictionary definitions of the word pulp. First, a soft, moist, shapeless mass of matter. Second, a magazine or book containing lurid subject matter and being characteristically printed on rough, unfinished paper. The genius of the title is that it operates on both levels simultaneously. On one level, it's a homage to the cheap, sensational crime paperbacks, the literal pulp fiction that Vincent Vega reads on the toilet. The film's structure, with its interlocking, over-the-top stories of gangsters, boxers, and diner holdups, is a direct cinematic translation of that trashy, thrilling genre. But on a deeper, more visceral level, the first definition is the key to Vincent's character. He is that soft, moist, shapeless mass. His life is formless, governed by heroin-induced constipation and chronic disorganization. His reality is a mess, a chaotic slurry of forgotten tasks, misplaced drugs, and fatal missteps. He is the human embodiment of pulp in its most literal physical sense. The plot itself becomes a shapeless, swirling mess because of his actions. The ultimate, darkly comedic irony. Vincent spends the entire film reading pulp fiction while living a pulp existence. His final moments are spent on the toilet, a victim of his own shapeless, messy life. Tarantino's title isn't just a genre label, it's a brutally accurate diagnosis of his most tragically incompetent hitman. Pulp Fiction. It's both the book he reads and the substance of his life.